Greetings, agents. This is Private Boulders, the mediocre gamer, and this is the Division 2. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my content. If you like it or find it useful or helpful, please consider liking and or subscribing so that I can hopefully make more videos. I really hope that today finds you well. The topic of today's video is the EXURO gear set, which basically comes with a very unique turret, which is an incinerator turret that spins in 360 degrees. So I think this gear set is a bit of a niche use. It's probably not great as using it in solo play. It's probably better off if you're using it maybe in a group. This is, however, just my opinion. You know, I did use it in solo, and it's okay. I was going okay. I did die quite a bit just trying to get used to it, but it does have its use. I think it's kind of a de facto crowd control type build, because once you plonk this turret down in the middle of a group of hostiles and set it off, obviously they catch fire. That fire is a status effect, and while they're on fire, they're basically they're not really moving. I mean, their movement is slow, but they're certainly not targeting you with their weapons or anything. So it has the ability to immobilize or control multiple enemies at once. So for that reason alone, it's probably best used in a team environment where you can kind of have this working on some hostiles, and while you're doing that, your teammates are targeting them, because you're not actually going to be taking any damage or anything like that while they're actually burning, basically. So let's have a look at the build. I'm using 4 pieces of the EXURO gear set. So 2 pieces gives us a plus 20% increased burn duration and plus 15% skill health. So basically skill health, if you're not aware, that's how many hit points your skills have. So it comes in handy with a turret, because once the enemies recover from their burning duration, they're more than likely, if they're going to start targeting your turret. So some extra health on there is going to be advantageous to keep that turret up and running. 3 pieces gives us plus 40% burn damage, which goes really well with this. And then the 4th piece gives us the incinerator turret, which spins 360 degrees. You are immune to your own incinerator turret's fire, and the incinerator turret explodes when it's disabled, which I do believe causes a little bit of damage to anyone in the vicinity. I'm using the backpack. So the backpack has the heat stroke talent. So you get plus 25% weapon damage to enemies set on fire by the turret, and you also get 25% turret range, which obviously helps with setting fire to more enemies, because if they're a little bit further away, just with that extra range, you might actually be able to snare them as well. I didn't go with the chest because I didn't believe that the talent was worthwhile. So the chest talent sets ablaze, or enemies set ablaze by the incinerator turret ignite other enemies within 2 meters. I just didn't think that was probably worthwhile. So I went with something different. So we'll have a look at that now. So the chest I'm using is the named Empress International chest, which is called Caesar's Guard. So 1 piece of Empress gives us plus 10% skill health, so some more hit points for our turret there. and it comes with the talent Perfectly Skilled. So skill kills have a 30% chance to reset skill cooldowns. So with this turret, it does have a 50-second cooldown, which when you're in combat, that can seem like an eternity. So I thought this might help with the uptime of the turret. So basically, if you get 3 kills with either of your skills, that should basically reset the cooldowns. So should help there with the uptime. With your minor attributes, you want to spec everything into status effects and skill damage as much as you can. And if you've got anything left over, just maybe some skill duration or something like that, or skill haste or something. The 6th piece I'm using is the holster, and that's an electric holster. 1 piece of electric gives us 10% status effects. So once again, the incinerator turret burns people. That is a status effect. If we are putting some extra some extra status effects on our build, then it's going to help with the overall effect that the incinerator turret is doing. So there's your 6 pieces. They should all have 1 skill tier on them, so you'll be at 6 skill tiers, which is the maximum, and you'll be getting the most amount of benefit out of this build. The specialization I'm running is Firewall, mainly because we get a plus 20% burn duration as one of the talents. So anyone that you set alight is just going to be burning for a little bit longer, allowing you to kill them or do some more damage to them during that time. We also get a couple of other talents that can come in handy. So you get plus 30% bonus armor during cover-to-cover moves, and if your armor breaks, you apply burn to enemies within 5 meters. Don't forget, if whatever weapon you are using, whether it be a rifle or a submachine gun or whatever, make sure you have your passive talent upgraded max so that you're getting that 15% increased damage. If you're using this in a group, then allies deal plus 10% damage to enemies that are within 10 meters of you. So that's going to help everyone out there. Another excellent reason to use Firewall spec is because of the sidearm that comes with Firewall spec. It is a double-barreled sawn-off shotgun called Firestarter, and the reason that comes in handy is because it has the talent Primer Rounds. So damaged enemies lose 50% burn resistance for 5 seconds. So this shotgun has, it's double barrel. So basically, if you put 2 rounds into an enemy, that basically reduces their burn resistance to 0. This is particularly useful for enemies such as chungers or dogs who don't normally catch on fire. So basically you shoot them twice with this. They will then be susceptible to the damage caused by your incinerator turret. Very handy. The weapon I'm using in the footage is a named rifle called Everlasting Gaze. So that comes with a talent called Perfect Perpetuation. So headshots grant plus 75% status effects, damage, and duration to the next status effect you apply. So basically the idea there is that when you are entering combat, you line up a headshot on a hostile. Once you've landed your headshot, you'll see the Perfect Perpetuation icon there on your hotbar. Then you throw out your incinerator turret and turn it on, and then you'll be getting plus 75% status effects, damage, and duration. I think that works really well with this build, because you want to try and do as much damage as possible, and you want to have as much duration as possible so that you can bring those hostiles down. Another option that you could run is the named rifle called Pyromaniac with Perfectly Ignited. So that amplifies weapon damage by 30% to burning enemies. Once again, that goes really well with this EXURO gear set. You can farm the Pyromaniac from Camp White Oak. It has an increased chance of dropping. So if you run Camp White Oak a couple of times on Heroic with 1 or 2 directives, it should drop for you eventually. Doesn't look like Everlasting Gaze is on that list. So your best option there is to either farm Countdown with rifles as targeted loot, or find an area that is has the rifles as targeted loot, and that should drop for you eventually. If we have a look now at the actual incinerator turret, so is the turret manually controlled by deploying, and it dispenses streams of flame in a forward-facing cone. Although obviously with this gear set, it spins 360 degrees, setting fire to anyone caught in its flame. So you can see that the cooldown is 50 seconds. So I guess if you have BTSU data gloves, which are an exotic glove, that could really help with this build. But if not, maybe try and go with something that helps reset that cooldown. So at skill tier 6, we get plus 60% damage, plus 30% cone angle, plus 60% burn strength, plus 60% duration, and plus 420% health. So those stats that you're seeing there, take that into account. So it's got almost 7 million health. It's doing almost 53,000 damage, 19 meter range. Burn damage is 200,000. Duration is 12 seconds. So there you go. What are your thoughts on this build? I don't see many people using this build much. I guess because most people would just run a Fire Eclipse build instead. And if you're not familiar with Fire Eclipse, I have done a video on that, which I will post in the comments. Fire Eclipse is probably better solo than this, whereas this is more of a bit of a, as I mentioned before, kind of a crowd control build. So maybe you could use it like that. But what are your thoughts? I would be keen to know in the comments if you have any thoughts or any feedback, or any general comments. So yeah, that's it for now, agents. Once again, I thank you for watching, and until next time, you stay safe out there and take care.